mashallah. Would you like to? I come this way. There we are. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah of Rahim. MashaAllah. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul huwa ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa kulluhu kufuwan ahad. Thank you. Ahsan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad.
Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى يتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. صدق الله.
It's an amazing, amazing memory she has, mashallah. We taught her in the month of Ramadan at the Surah Al-A'la and the meaning of it. She was in my class, mashallah. Well done, well done. Who else? And then we'll do the Marthia, okay?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab, ma aghna anhu maluhu wa ma kasab, sayasla naran dhata lahab, wa imra'atuhu hammalatal hatab, fi jidha hablum min masad.
Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Anyone who wants to do surahs? Naba, you had your turn. Let's give to somebody else. Come, Layla. Are you still awake like me? I'm falling asleep after the school. Come. I recite.
Bismillah.
Wow, that's it. That's it.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Laylatul qadri khayrun min alfi shahr. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها إن ربك من كل أمر سلام لما الفجر.
ما شاء الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم. I waited for you. So am I. I had 40 children in the school upstairs. Mashallah, mashallah. Right, are we ready for our Marthia? I'm sure you all know by heart my Asghar. Are we all going to recite loudly? Yeah. Let's make a big line over here. Shall we do that? But sitting down. Sitting down. We're all going to recite together.
Who's the mic for? Yeah.
Wait, the mic is on.
Yes, on.
The mic is on.
No, please move. No, Alias, no, Hafiz, can you open it onto the page? Huh? No, right now everyone's doing yes, okay, I've got all my stuff. To share one.
Okay, I brought the books.
I left mine. Hey, go and get your books. Zahra, can you please move because this guy was sitting next to me. Okay. I don't know, this guy's really weird.
Page 14. Are we ready?
Page 14, number 11.
Page 14, number 11. In your beautiful voices, but sad voices. No smiles on your faces. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number, page 14.
Page 14.
Number 11.
Number 11.
Oh my God.
Okay, Bismillah.
Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield, you never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow, you never came back. Who shall I feed now? Who shall I clothe now? Who shall I rock now? Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield, you never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow, you never came back. Your cradle is empty, my heart is broken, where can I find you? Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield, you never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow, never came back. Dark in the graveside, the sand is burning. How will you sleep, my son? Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield, you never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow, you never came back. They brought some water, Sakina will not drink, she's bringing it for you. Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield, never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow, you never came back. I'm going home, son, what will I say when Shukra asks, where's Asghar? Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield, you never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow, you never came back.
Who's going to recite?
We're on page 22 and Marcia number 17.
Page 22, Marcia number 17. Is that right?
Yeah.
Bismillah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Zainab has said, oh people, what has happened to my house? Yesterday it was so full, now there's only emptiness. Layla son Ali Akbar, who looked like my grandfather, he was killed by a spear. What has happened to my house? Zainab has said, oh people, what has happened to my house? Yesterday it was so full, now there's only emptiness. The guardian of my villa boss went out just to fetch water. He was killed by a spear. What has happened to my house? Zainab has said, oh people, what has happened to my house? Yesterday it was so full, now there's only emptiness. Umar Farwas and Qasim went for battle and fell. His body was trampled upon. What has happened to my house? Zainab has said, oh people, what has happened to my house? Yesterday it was so full, now there's only emptiness. Banu San Ali Asghar, who couldn't sleep in his cradle, he slept on the burning sand. What has happened to my house? Zainab has said, oh people, what has happened to my house? Today it was so full, now there's only emptiness. My brother Imam Hussein, for whom I sacrificed my sons, I saw Shema slaughter him. What has happened to my house? Zainab has said, oh people, what has happened to my house? Yesterday it was so full, now there's only emptiness. Imam Zainul Abidin, who was so ill in Karbala, he saw his father's head on a spear. What has happened to my house? Zainab has said, oh people, what has happened to my house? Yesterday it was so full, now there's only emptiness. We were taken as prisoners to Kufa and the court of Sham. We didn't even have our fields. What has happened to my house? Zainab has said, oh people, what has happened to my house? Yesterday it was so full, now there's only emptiness. Oh Hussein, your daughter who couldn't sleep without you, she has died and sleeps in Sham. What has happened to my house? Zainab has said, oh people, what has happened to my house? Yesterday it was so full, now there's only emptiness. Salawat.
Here Umi or Umi auntie or Umi Bai is very, very humble. This Marthia and Matam started about 35 years ago. And my son used to sit next to her and hold her abaya because he was very energetic. He's now, mashallah, 33. And that was his favorite, was Oh My Asghar. So wherever he went to for majlises, he would always have the opportunity to recite that. It brings back loads and loads of memories. And now his daughter is being trained, who's only 2.5. Thank you. We all have to be really appreciative over here with Umi because she has done an amazing, amazing job. It gives them an opportunity to recite. Even if they can't, some of them can read, but I feel it is that chorus, the words, the meaning just takes them into such a spiritual growth in them. I always tell them there's a sparkle in your heart. So, mashallah, can we have a big salawat for Umi? Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraj. She's my neighbor, by the way.
God, she goes on. She's getting me a Can we start with the salawat, please? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraja. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. First of all, I know in the adverts that have gone out, this was supposed to be the last day. But we're still going to have tomorrow as well. So the early program, 4:30 to 5:30 tomorrow as well. Just so you know. As far as the rest of you are concerned, can you now start focusing, okay? What was the surah we were talking about? Surah what? Surah Fajr. What surah number was it? 89. I need you to recite the first 5 with me. Come on. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal Fajr. Walayalin Ashr. والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر هل في ذلك قسم لذي هجر. Are you good with that? So you know the first 5 ayat. We talked about, what were those 4 ayat for? Those things that were important. Who were they for? For people who were clever. Do you remember? هل في ذلك قسم لذي Hijr. This is for people who have really good brains and they use them. You get more cleverer by using your brain. How do you use your brain? Watching TV? No. What? What? How do you make your brain cleverer? Yes. You learn. Okay. What else? You work really hard. You write. You read. Absolutely right. You read a lot. Anybody else? Yes, you think. Definitely. Otherwise, you can't become clever. Yes. You have to sleep as well. Definitely. You don't sleep, you're never going to become clever. Yes. You study. Yeah, maybe that puts everything else together. You do study. So, do you want to say something? What? That's true. You have to know what to do when you fall down and you get hurt. That's clever. That's really clever. Okay. And the other thing you've got to do, extra, you've got to recite lots of Ayat al-Kursis, lots of Quran, lots of Surah al-Fajr, and it'll make you even more cleverer. Okay? So we did that as the first part. How many parts did we have in this surah? God, I have to check. How many parts did we have? Do you remember? How many fingers do you have? Yes. You have 10 fingers. On one hand, how many fingers do you have? 5. So this has got 5 parts. The first part was for clever people. The second part, we talked about those 3 peoples. Do you remember? Ad, Thamud, and Fir'aun. And what were the people like Ad like? They were greedy was Thamud. What about Ad? What were they like? Yes. Okay, they were clever. What else were they? Yes. They were very, very proud and very, very selfish. And then you had the people of Thamud who were very, very greedy. Again, they were proud as well. What about the people of Fir'aun? What were they like?
They're like a bully.
They were bullies. That's right. So who did Allah send to the people of Ad? What was his name? Hud. Yeah, the 2. You write 1 and put a line across it. Hud. Who was sent to Thamud? Saleh. And what did Allah give Prophet Saleh? What was that? What was the animal? A camel. That's right. And what do they do to the camel? What do they do? Come on. Other people to put their hands up as well? Yes. They killed it. Oh God, that's right. That's what they did. And Fir'aun, who did Allah send to Prophet Fir'aun? Oh, can't say prophet. Which prophet did he send to Fir'aun? Yes. Prophet Musa. Okay. Now we were looking at the third part on the last 2 days, and we saw how Allah tests you. When He tests you by giving you so much, what do? What do you do when He gives you a lot? Yes. What else do? You thank Him, and then what else do? You share. And when He doesn't give you a lot, or when things are difficult, what are you supposed to do? First, you're supposed to think, then you're supposed to pray, and then you're supposed to help the person who's going through a difficult time as much as possible. Okay, what we're going to look at now is section 4 and section 5. But first, section 4, which is really important. Now, Allah says the reason why these people were proud, why they were selfish, why they didn't share, why they did things, all the things that they did, was for a few reasons. So He said there were 3 reasons. How many? I need you to tell me how many? 3. Again, how many? 3. The first one, He said, was they didn't like to help orphans. Who is an orphan? Who is an orphan? I'm going to put this book away. Who is an orphan? Yes. Okay, there are lots of children in Palestine who are orphans. Who else is an orphan? Yes. Okay, people who don't have money, don't have clothes, but who else is an orphan? It's a person who doesn't have a mom or a dad, or even maybe not a dad or not a mom. And they're known as an orphan, and it's not a nice place to be. Because you can't go home, you can't hug anyone, there's nobody there to look after you. You may have grandparents and uncles and aunts and everything else. But somebody who doesn't have a mom or a dad, or either one or both of them, is known as an orphan. So Quran says, you don't feel sad for them. You don't care about them. The reason why you're selfish, the reason why you're arrogant, and the reason why you're proud is that you don't care about them. And I'd like to tell you something. Sajida was saying something about lots of years ago. About 30 years ago, when her son was very little, he used to come to the classes over there. I remember talking about Sayyidah Sakina. Do you know who Sayyidah Sakina was? Who was Sakina? Who was her dad? Imam Hussein. And when her dad dies, she becomes an orphan. That's right. Now, we were talking about her in the annex. That's where all the children were. And one of the little boys stood up, and he said, I don't like being an orphan, because his dad died when he was only 5. And we said, okay, just tell me a little bit about what it's like. So he said that he likes to play football. Do you like to play football? Yeah. He said he likes to play football. And he said his mama tries really hard to play football with him, but she's not as good as his dad was. And he said, I just wish that maybe all my friends, or some of them, could invite me to their house so I could play football with their dad. Now, everybody who was sitting there didn't even think. They didn't even know. They didn't even bother to ask him, is there anything we can do? So, when Quran says they don't look after orphans, it's your job and my job to find out whether somebody needs some help. Sometimes people have moms and dads, but maybe dads are really busy. Maybe moms are really busy. Maybe they're not orphans, but they need some help so somebody can take them out and play with them. So you got to ask people, do you have play dates? Is that a yes or a no? No. Oh my goodness me. Do you have play dates? Do you go out? We'll take questions later, okay? So if you have any questions, leave them and I'll ask. You can ask them at the end. But you have to ask people to come and meet you. That's why you come to a majlis. Because you sit near all different types of people. Do you know the person next to you, what their name is? Really? You do? All right, look on your right and look on your left. If you don't know their names, ask them. What about the mummies sitting here? I don't think they know their names of the other mummies. Do you think they know them? So that's the first thing to do, is to find out who you are sitting near, find out whether they need any help, and find out if you can be friends with them, because you're all Ahlul Baytis. All right, the next thing Quran says, it doesn't say you don't give money to the poor or you don't help the poor. It said you don't encourage each other to help those who don't have anything. So just now somebody mentioned a country where things are really difficult. How many of you think that in the month of Muharram, you may have put away some of your pocket money or some of the extra money you have to help people who don't have any? Don't put your hands up, I don't want to see them, okay? You got to think, can I help people? Can I put some money in sadaqah? Can I come and give people and say, please, I need this to go and help people who don't have anything? Now, you all have seen pictures on television, you've seen pictures on social media, which tell you about children who are really, really having a difficult time. So for you and me, it's not to waste, but it's to be able to give everything extra we have to those who don't have. How many things did I tell you the Quran says, which makes you bad? How many things? 3. What was the first thing? What was the first thing? That you don't look after orphans. The second thing was you don't encourage each other to help those who don't have anything. And the third thing, how many things were there? 3. The third, Surah Al-Fajr says, you just love lots of money. And the ayah, and I'll tell you what ayah number it is. You can look it up later when you get at home. It's ayah number 19 and 20. It says, وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ حُبًّا جَمًّا. You just like lots and lots and lots and lots of things. So let me ask you a question. Have you got toys at home? How many of you have toys at home? I have lots. I have 9 grandchildren. So you can imagine the amount of toys I have. Okay. Now, do you like sharing your toys? Really? So if somebody came, you'd share your toys with them? God, then you are absolutely good. You're not like the Quran says. There are some children who don't like sharing their toys. When other people come to their houses, they hide their toys. You're not like that, are you? No. So then, this surah is just for you to say, well, I'm not like that. So what are the 3 things again that makes bad people? 1, they don't look after orphans. 2, they don't encourage each other to help those who have nothing. And 3, what was the third one? They love lots of things. Do you love lots of things? When I talk to your mummies, and I'm not talking to you, when I talk to your mummies, I tell them, just open your scarf drawer. Does your mummy have a scarf drawer? Well, your mummies are good. Maybe they don't have a scarf drawer. But the other mummies that I know, yours are the goodest mummies in the planet. But the other mummies I know, my goodness, they have at least 100 things in their scarf drawer. Did you know that? God, you're looking at me like you've never heard of this before. If your mommy told you, go bring me that blue scarf, your mummies are good, by the way. These are the mummies, right? If they told you, bring me a blue scarf, you'd have to say, which blue? And if they said dark blue, you'd have to say, but which one? There's 5 dark blues. Which light one? And said, 6 light ones. Oh, you're all looking at me like you don't go through that at all, right? Okay. So do you think they should share their scarves? Let me tell you a story. I have a friend who goes to Lesbos a lot. This is where they had all the refugees. She also goes to places where people live in tents. All these different places. She came back one day and she came home and she said, you know what? Most of the people in these camps are Muslims. And I said, okay. So she said that they have 1 scarf and 1 chadar. You know this chadar? This overall, this jalabiya, whatever you call it, between them. If they want to go out, Only one person can go out at a time. So she said, do you think your community can help me? This is some years ago. Do you think your community can help me? And it was lovely. Because when I told your mummies these in the 4 o'clock class, was 2 years ago, before COVID, all of them brought their extra chadars and their extra scarves. And, surprise, surprise, they were all ironed and folded. Maybe because that's what I told them. They were ironed and folded. They weren't stuffed in a black bag. So next time, and I'll go and see her again, if she asks for extra chadars and extra scarves, what do you think you're going to do? Yes. Fold them, iron them, put them nicely in a bag, and you will bring them. Hopefully, after the month of Muharram, we will do one of those trips again. Do you think you'd like to do that and help? Because you don't want to be part of these people who don't help orphans, who don't help people who don't have anything, and you don't want to be those people who just love lots and lots and lots and lots of things. I'm going to tell you another story. I had a neighbor. This neighbor is amazing, okay? But I had a neighbor who lived right sort of next to me. Now, she didn't have any children, and she went traveling a lot. So she would buy everything from everywhere she traveled. Do you know what it's called? A souvenir. Have you heard of them? So when I went to see her, and my children were young, and we would go and see her, and she would say, this is from Portugal, and this is from this place, and this is from South America, and she'd put them all in this glass case. And my children were little, and she would say, oh, don't go near there, because if you go near there, my souvenirs might break. Was she sharing her toys? No. I don't think the children would break them. But anyway, even if they wanted to see them, she'd say, can you see this line? Stand here and look from here. Because if you went near them, her heart would go up and down. Now, you don't do that with your toys, do you? No. That's what she did. Then, a few years later, she died, sadly. And she died, she went to her home, she was very ill, and she died. I don't know. A month later, I saw a van outside her house. In fact, you lived in her house. So I saw a van outside her house, and I thought, why is this van outside her house? Because she's died. So we went to see her in hospital a few times, but she had died. And this van came, and they had this big skip, and all those souvenirs, they just threw them in this skip. They just tipped them all out. They said, this is rubbish. And they cleared the whole house. And I still remember that day because it taught me that you must share everything you have. Everything. It doesn't matter what it is. Whether it's your clothes, whether it's your food, whether it's your things, whether it's your toys, you have to share. Because one day, you'll grow up and you won't need them. And one day, somebody will just say, this is rubbish. We're just going to throw them away. I'm not sure about your mummy's lofts. Have your mummy got a loft? Has she? Well, I don't know about your mummies, but some mummies in their lofts have so many things that they don't use. What do you think they should do with them, especially in summer? They should go up in their loft, take those things out, and give them to people who can use them. That's what you're supposed to do. Can I have a salawat, please? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraja. Now I'd like to close your eyes, and we're going to go to Karbala. Okay, close your eyes. We're going to talk about a tiny little baby. He was only 6 months old. He was really, really small. Now, he was really, really thirsty. He couldn't even cry because he was so thirsty. He didn't have any strength. He just couldn't cry. His mama was the most amazing mama in the world. Absolutely amazing. And she was married to Imam Hussein. So when everybody, he had nobody, he was all alone, and he was standing on the sand of Karbala, and he said, is there anyone to help me? Is there anyone who will come to our aid? And this little baby, who had no strength to even cry, threw himself out of the cradle. And his mama started crying. She cried so much. So Imam Hussein came to the tents and he said, Rabab, why are you crying? I'm still here. I'm here with you. And she said, the moment you said that you needed help, Ali Asghar threw himself out of his cradle. It was like he was saying, I'm here to help. Well, 6-month-old babies are very, very small. So he said, you know what? Maybe he's thirsty. Let me go and take him and ask someone to give him some water. So Imam takes this baby in front of all these bad soldiers. They were really bad people. So he took them in front of these soldiers and he said, if I have done anything wrong, don't give me water. You don't like me, I know that, because I have said no to following Yazid. But this baby has done nothing wrong. And the marthiyah that you read, oh my Asghar, what was it said? Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield. You never came back. That's what Mama was saying. Because Dad took him to the battlefield and he told the soldiers, give the baby some water. So there were some people there who are bad, but in their heart they thought, you know what? We got to get some water for these babies. When they did that, the head of the army was called Umar Saad. He said, this cannot happen. If all these fathers are going to go and bring water, it's not going to work because they're going to get all soft. We don't want them to be softies. We don't want them to share. We don't want them to be good people. So he tells the person who's really, really good with his bow and arrow, and he says, I want you to kill the baby. So this man who had the bow and arrow takes an arrow, and the arrow falls down. And the arrow falls down, and he says, the leader of the army says, why did the arrow fall? And he says, I can see the mama looking out. I can see her looking. I can't do this. Anyway, when the door of the tent was closed, he took another arrow. And he shot the arrow, and it hurt the baby really badly. Now Imam Hussein takes the baby, and he thinks, how am I going to take this baby back to its mom? Because moms loves babies a lot. So he goes back 7 times. Goes once, goes back, goes whack, goes front. 7 times. He's thinking, how am I going to take this baby to his mom? You do know your moms love you very much. Yeah. But when he takes the baby back to his mama, the mama says, if I knew that's what they did to babies, I would have dressed you like a soldier. And then the Imam Hussein went behind the tent, made a little grave. Rubab, that was her name. She put the baby inside the grave. They closed the grave, and she said, I don't have any water, Asghar, to put on your grave. But I'm going to cry, and my tears might be a little bit for your grave. Now I'd like you to close your eyes. I'd like you to think of all the babies in the world today. Not only are they orphans, not only do they not have anything, but they don't even have water, just like Ali al-Asghar. So you got to find it in your hearts to do a lot of things for them. But the least you can do is pray for them. So close your eyes and ask Allah, say, I ask you in the name of Ali al-Asghar, that these children should get water, they should get peace, they should be able to have families, they should be able to have their homes, and they should be able to live and go to school and learn. Can you do that dua, please? Okay. Now let's read a Surah Al-Fatiha for all the marhumin, especially those of your family. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. صدق الله العظيم. Close your eyes, look down, ask Allah to give the thawabs to all the marhumin, especially those of your family. Pray for those who are ill and pray for those who are in dire trouble. So I'm going to give the microphone back to Sajda Aunty and she'll sort out your no-hats, okay? She does it really well.
Right. Let's all stand up. Let's stand in the queue or right in front. Let your mummies admire you. The mummies love to see you standing and reciting. Come on. All of you.